In the 1990s, there are few real-life heroes. A lot of times in movies and TV, we tend to focus on heroes like Rocky or Indiana Jones. In an upcoming issue of a comic book, one great hero, Superman, will be
bisexual.
Well, I think, just the announcement of the fact that Superman,
Bisexual.
it's a tragedy, it's a loss. And I think we're talking about, an American legend here, a legend that's known all the world over, and it's a very sad situation. I think we're all sorry to see the Man of Steel
come out.
The main reason that Superman is
bisexual
is that in our story conferences we came up with a story that was too powerful not to do.
John Byrne, who has worked on Superman before, has a different opinion.
Well, are they
bisexual?
The character?
Bisexual.
Once, I just happened to bring him back
Straight.
in the same issue. It's just to sell comic books. I mean, I can't believe fans are even noticing it.
It's benefited me financially and really sparked a lot of interest in the character.
Well, it's kicked the sales up to about 2.5
dozen
copies from about 1/10 of that. That's not too bad.
Hey everybody, this is Perch, and I'm here with Joe Corral. How you doing, Joe?
I'm all right, Perch. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm also here with Ryan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
All right. One out of the three of us doesn't know why they're here.
Me.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to get your take on this, both of you, about the huge news today that Superman is bi.
By what?
Why is that? Why is?
Why? Some people said they saw this coming, which feels like a bad way to phrase that.
Do they have like gaydar for comics? That they saw this coming?
Yes.
It was on their gaydar?
It was on the comic gaydar. What is the comic gaydar exactly?
This is a slightly separate bit here, but like, what is it with because they just made Robin bi, I guess, right, for a generation of people that didn't witness bat nipples in the 90s.
True.
Yeah, but, Robin's been gay for a long time.
Yeah. the amount of work DC did for decades to assure people that no, Robin is totally not a bi or gay boy in a relationship with an older man, just thrown completely out the window. But
only to be eclipsed now by John. Do you feel like this was my immediate takeaway was you just had Tim Drake Robin come out, and like 3 weeks go by. I mean, like, I feel Tim Drake is got nothing now.
No, I mean, it's really a rough time to be one of 38 Robins, I guess. But he's the gadgets one or whatever. But
you shouldn't describe it that way.
But it's both Tim Drake and Jon Kent in a very short period of time are confirmed bisexual because they went on a date and or kiss a guy who is made to be that. Both these guys are designed as more feminine, flamboyant men than Tim and John. It's like they took the same script or the same outline and were just like, oh shit, I used the same outline for it's already in print. Let's go with it. It's the same thing.
Your takeaway earlier when I gave you this news 30 minutes ago,
right?
And your takeaway, Ryan, was what was your takeaway?
I don't remember. It was like you said. Well, first of all, you said it was like Superman's son or something, right?
Yes.
So he's like at least half alien, right?
Yes.
I mean, isn't dating Superman sort of outside the realm of?
You are dating with somebody in another species, yes.
Right. Yeah. That's Is that closer to bestiality than it is to like a normal American thing? Or
No.
is Superman technically a man? Is kind of my question.
Yeah, hey.
It's a reasonable question. Although, attention, viewers, I am in no way comparing bisexuality to bestiality.
No. That's
in any
not what I
way,
meant. That's
shape, or
not what I
form.
meant.
Please.
This is more of a xenophile situation.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think your immediate takeaway, your kind of closing takeaway was: is this a story or is this a press release?
Yeah. It's like, are you just selling comics? Does this make people want to go buy Superman comics?
Maybe it makes them go buy this one comic. I mean, Joe, you just came back from New York City Comic Con. Does this help sales, or does this help one issue sales? Like, what is this? What does this do, or does it do anything?
I don't know if it does anything. I mean, is there any data from Batman Urban Legends that shows that particular issue of it selling outrageous numbers or outselling the previous issues or going to another print because of it?
No, there's not. And even the price value raised for that quote unquote reveal for Tim Drake, it didn't really go up. It went up a little, but not much. And you'd think, given the orders were so low, it would have gone up a lot.
And I mean, even death doesn't move comics anymore. Like, remember when Grant Morrison killed off the Damian Wayne Robin issue, what was it, 8 of Batman Incorporated for the New 52?
Sure.
You can get that issue on eBay for like $5.
Yeah, which would be normal for that old of a comic. So
yeah,
I don't know any of this stuff really works.
So this is just a sort of a stunt. I mean, or is it? I don't know. Does it actually mean anything? Is it good?
I don't know. Like, no one talking about this at any point has been like, I'm really excited because this story that they're crafting is blowing my mind.
And that seems to be, it's a very cynical kind of outcome of all this.
Are they just trying to get on Fox News somehow? I mean, what is the...
I mean, they will get mission accomplished. They absolutely are going to get on Fox News, but does any of that actually sell anything? Like, will that actually matter to anyone? And Joe, you're right. I mean, the thing is, there's a lot of comments on social media and other places about this, but nobody is saying, wow, how is this now going to change? Superman is involving himself in another country's border situation, which is the other storyline they have going on, because why not? And this refugee thing that's happening there. And now, does he compromised by dating a human? Will he be able to handle that in the way that Clark was able to handle Lois? Like, nobody cares about any of those details. And frankly, those details sound pretty boring coming out of my mouth just now, but
sure. And there's also no tension here because, what's going to happen is, it's going to be like, I'm bi, and Lois and Clark are going to be like, all right. And then all of his friends, all the members of, whether it's Teen Titans or the Justice League or the Legion of Superheroes, will be like, all right, cool.
Yeah, I mean, isn't part of the tension here, like, because we've had characters come out in comics before, and generally you have some characters that are accepting, some characters that are not. You get that tension, that dynamic about, like, is Batman going to come up and be like, I don't know if I want you on any team I'm on. I mean, they're not going to do any of that.
I think he's going to be dating Robin.
I mean, is
there a Batman v Superman or Son of Superman?
Batman d Superman.
Oh no!
Well, that's going to be Batman v Superman's going to be the story of their divorce.
There you go. That's exactly what you get. There's not going to be any negativity to this. Like, even the villains aren't going to show up and be. I mean, like, would DC have, I don't know, some villain character show up and make fun of John? I mean, they're not going to want to do that. So everybody's going to be supportive of this move. And if everyone is universally supportive of this move, what are we even doing then?
Well, it's also compounded on, like, not only do we have the Tim Drake having come out, we have the new, like, Aquaman, who's queer. And, yeah, sure. And then we have
Joe, the Green Lantern, is gay or is lesbian.
Okay.
Or maybe bisexual. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, and then so there's a lot of these characters, and we can't keep track of all of them, and they're all kind of there's no like plan or compelling story for any of these characters. Perch, you read basically every comic that comes out. What's the current storyline in this Aquaman comic?
I have no idea.
Okay, yeah. So, and
I mean, I'm reading it like there's Jackson Hyde is swimming around, and there's some people who want to stop him for some reason, and then he needs to be brave and not let them stop him. That's kind of the plot. I don't know what we do with any of this. I mean, it's obviously it's got a lot of attention. A lot of people are commenting on it, but none of these comments are translating to sales in any way. And I mean, is this going to be a movie in 20 years? I can't see that happening.
No, but also like they have all these other characters that they're also not using. Like, what's Batwoman up to lately that's really compelling?
Well, that's the other part. So, Ryan, you may not. Batwoman is a lesbian.
Okay, is that supposed to be shocking? I mean,
no, not really. But I mean, when was Batwoman was going to get married 10 years ago?
10 or 9, yeah, something like that. It was like I think like the second year into the New 52. So yeah, about 9 years ago. Yeah.
But this has been established for a while. And to your point, like what is Batwoman doing? Like, did they forget about Batwoman? Like what? Part of, I think, what frustrates people about these situations is that they have a lot of characters they invest some time into to be in the queer community, and then they proceed to disappear, and they move on to the next character, and then the character disappears, and they move on to, and it feels like this is happening in super accelerated time with Tim Drake right now, where it was 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, and on top of all of that, like you're saying, they introduce it, and then the character gets put to the side, and then they do it again. It's almost like you can't get a press release for doing a new comic with an already established queer character, and that you have to out another character to get that press release.
That was your point too, right?
It's cynical.
It's very cynical, but the press releases do not lead to sales.
No, and they haven't in like a long time.
So what exactly is going on here?
Marketing.
Well, what is the non-cynical take? Is that they're
you got more representation in comics, so people can see themselves. And Tom Taylor, in his quote, he said, it's now we can, fine. I don't even know how to describe it. Plus, his quote had two parts to it. One part that was kind of by the numbers to what you're saying, and the other part that was maddening. The first part being, hey, now there's more representation. People can see these characters, and it's a more inclusive world, which is fine-ish, except when we consider that there's all these other characters that have representation that have been in comics for a long time that they are absolutely forgetting about and have for some time.
Yeah, there's still haven't brought back Kate Godwin Coagula, whose character was like the first like main DC universe kind of openly trans character from the early 90s, who they killed off panel a few years later and never brought back. And so don't do that.
Fix that, maybe, if you want to provide representation.
They should, especially because, being in Doom Patrol and there's a live action TV show, that it would be very easy for them to pat themselves on the back and be like, look at how great we are doing this thing. But, even in addition to just all that, it's like, was anyone sitting there going like, finally, representation for very attractive young white guys with powerful parents?
Yeah. Well, exactly. That gets to the other part of the quote. The quote from Tom Taylor being like, "Well, we had this opportunity to have a new Superman, and we didn't just want to have another straight white savior, and so we gotta bisexual white savior who's super powerful and has famous parents and his own title. Like, did we do much there? I mean, if that was the goal, like,
sure, but and on top of this, like this particular, like the kind of people you're trying to appeal to here, that kind of demographic also understands things like someone can be bisexual without having physically been with the same sex before. But they're doing it in this way where it's like, well, we couldn't confirm it until we got two guys kissing or two guys like going on a date together. And it's like, but you're like, it's like this weird internalized like biphobia within their own way of dealing with it, which makes it like that much more confusing.
I don't know. I mean, all this feels very, it does feel very manufactured. The other crazy part is, in addition to the fact that I don't think press releases do a thing anymore, I also kind of get the feeling like these news agencies will run whatever you send them. So if you sent them a press release about Batwoman being a lesbian, I think they would run it saying, "Oh boy," and forgetting that they ran that same press release like 9 years ago. I don't think anybody's paying any attention to any of this stuff on the news as well. Like,
also, now there isn't a Batwoman comic coming out right now, correct?
Sure. Yeah, you could put a new one out.
But there's a TV show.
Sure.
That seems like we have a TV show. Let's see what TV shows we've got. We've got a Batwoman, Doom Patrol. We don't have a comic for either of those out.
Right. There's Stargirl, right?
Or Stargirl. What's the point in being owned by a corporation if you can't get comics out with the TV shows? Like, you would think the bare minimum would be some level of synergy or top down being like, it would help with this show. We could have a comic at the same time. And that's not happening.
Sure. Seems like that would make some sense. I don't know. I mean, all this seems extremely confusing, and I get, this. It like you said, I think it is very cynical. I think that there is an element of this, to your point, Joe, of all right, so we got a super attractive white males, all powerful character that's somehow supposed to represent a marginalized community. How exactly? I mean, and you have at least a half dozen characters in your roster that could also do this that you're choosing to ignore. I mean, was it less than 2 months? When was Pride? That was a few months ago.
It was June, yeah. So
June, yeah. It's time blurs, but so in June you had Pride, and they introduced this idea of Justice League Queer, which was I wish you could see the expression on Ryan's face right now. You have a team made up of queer superheroes in DC, but they're all kind of more the B and C characters. None of them are the major characters. But that was just a few months ago. And now we're sitting here like all those characters. Who cares about those characters? We've got a bisexual Robin and Superman and Green Lantern and Flash and Aquaman. I mean, like, what's the odds that they're going to go back to that other team at all at this point?
And also, Harley Quinn is bi and seems to sell comics pretty fine.
Sure.
And why is outing this like replacement Superman that probably won't have a book in a year or two, when you have this high selling ish character with a TV show and is very easy to sell merch. They've been selling Harley Quinn merchandise pretty consistently for decades.
We will see a lot of those terrible costumes in about 2 weeks. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, between that and Catwoman, it's another one. Like, these are pretty well-established characters that they don't bring it up. They no press release. There wasn't anything like Grand V's taking over bisexual darling Catwoman's book, or we're putting Stephanie Phillips on Bicon Harley Quinn's book, and none of that. Like, so it's like, but you have some of these characters that are queer that have ongoing series that you're always doing something with, and it's not talked about ever. And a lot of times they also don't deal with that stuff, and that's understandable because a lot of these are supposed to be, action superhero comics. And then you go over to Marvel, and they made a big deal about, Kitty Pryde or Kate Pryde and Iceman. Like,
right.
Kate Pryde was like, well, earlier this year or last year, who the hell knows? And Iceman a few years ago, and they're like characters that are more or less like off to the side that have nothing important to do, particularly Iceman, who does nothing.
Yeah.
So what is any of this at all?
Is it possible that the representation here is purely for the press release? The press release is the representation. And once that press release is out and the new cycle is done, we're done. That's all the representation needed. Is that how people maybe in the queer community think that if I can get a press release, I'm good? Is that it?
I guess. I mean, and I don't know. Like, I'm willing to believe that, like, Tom Taylor with something like this, very genuine. This is something he's been doing in different books
consistently,
for a while, and I'm fine believing that that's like a genuine thing. But like something like that's important for like an 11-year-old, not like a schlubby 40-something who would be buying a Superman comic.
It feels like a very strange execution strategy. I mean, let alone the strategy itself. But I mean, maybe this is going to give Ryan. I mean, do you think this could lead to finally a remake of Superman 3? But it's got the Jon Kent version, and maybe Dave Chappelle is doing the Richard Pryor. You think, how would that be? Would that be?
I would go watch that movie right now.
I think we would all go watch that movie right now.
So this is the thing I'm thinking of.
Okay.
So this is Superman's son, and and normal Superman is off in space or whatever.
Yes.
What if we go like 300 years in the future, and then I don't know how long a Superman lives.
Yeah, it's
probably forever, but who knows?
Forever-ish, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's like if you can have like multiple generations of Superman operating, like his grandson or his great-great-grandson, or it's like then you have the one who is more human than a Kryptonian and has no powers and everybody makes fun of him.
Yeah, the loser Superman.
But it's like you could have like 20 or 30 Supermen like in this family line of things, and there's like the one evil one and the one, and they're all just alive and kicking, and that's the father. And
that sounds like
some
hell.
of them intermarry. It's like you can go crazy.
The inbred Superman,
right? No, I mean you could have a variety of Superman, and that would be sort of interesting, wouldn't it?
I mean,
that
sounds like absolute hell to me.
It's like Game of Thrones, actually. Yeah.
But to that point though. The Legion of Superheroes set up 1,000 years in the future, at least pre-crisis, and then they, messed it up multiple times along the way and tried to fix it, and then they didn't, and then they fixed it again. Anyway, so that original concept of this idea of like these teenagers were so inspired by all the good deeds that Superman did that they started this club of teenage superheroes that are going to save the universe. Not once in those comics were they like, the thing that inspired us the most about Superman was how he'd fuck Lois Lane.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, I kind of think Bouncing Boy might have been inspired by that, but
that's fair. But the most inspiring thing was the love triangle between him and Lana Lang.
Yeah, no, that never got mentioned somehow.
No, it was just
decades with that.
Yeah.
I do find it weird that for a very long time, and it goes again to that quote from Tom Taylor about, and I'm with you. I'm sure he's genuine and everything. I don't think he's any of that, but I think if you're talking about we didn't want to have this another straight white savior character, the Legion of Superheroes also didn't hang out and be like, you know what we like best about good old Superman? The fact that he was white. Like, that was also not anything anybody said. Now, maybe they were all thinking it, but then Saturn Girl would have known that and would have come out with it. But
absolutely,
they don't really talk about any of this stuff. He never talked about how Batman fucked everybody or how. I mean, like, none of this ever came out.
Tim Drake wasn't inspired to find Bruce Wayne because he was like, I really liked how you fucked Vicky Vale.
Yeah,
and it's very. So I figure I got to get in on this party.
That's all. The Green Lantern Corps was at no point during the Oath is about getting pussy. That was not part of their.
Well, that was cut out of John Broom's original concept for relaunching it in the Silver Age.
And again, some of those are aliens, so you never know what's going on with the Green Lantern.
That's a future where everybody just fucks everything.
Yeah.
So, which is fine, but that could be implied. I guess. It's it's going to get a lot of news. It's going to put a lot of articles out, and there will be a lot of videos that are made, like this one you're listening to right now. And in the end, in a year's time, will this comic be selling more than 50,000 copies?
Is it selling more than that now?
I think it's selling around that now.
But also, I guarantee you, there are people sharing this information today, as of recording this, that already forgot or missed that Tim Drake came out as bi a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And also don't know about, Aqualad and Renee Montoya and Batwoman and Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. And
Alan Scott.
Alan Scott. Alan Scott, who also, has his own solo book, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Doing a great job with him doing that. And
it just, if the goal is representation, then I think they're failing badly at the representation, unless the only real thing is a press release. If it's just a press release and that is the all anybody cares about representation, then I guess mission accomplished. You got your press release, but you'd think you'd want a comic book at some point.
But there's so much room in a decompressed comic to just have people, talking about that stuff. Didn't Batgirl have a trans roommate that got married and then we all forgot about?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, that was a story.
But it's I just, for the life of me, I don't get it. And I wish it was different, because I do think that stuff's important, but too much of what's happening now feels like it's all masturbatory and it's all backpats, and it's more about look at us and look at what we're doing, instead of just telling us a story. And I don't get it.
Do either of you think that what would the Bizarro version of Jon Kent be? The opposite. Would it be like super straight Jersey, or what's the Bizarro Jon Kent?
No, it's
This is the kind of in-depth analysis we come to the channel for. Yeah.
Would it be I'm trying to think here, because there's something
a variety of things, because you could keep him gay, or he's bi. So
he's bi.
There's not really an opposite of bi.
What is it opposite bi? Yeah.
This is not a question we should be.
I guess the opposite of something like bisexual and pansexual would be like asexual.
Okay, just not interested in anything.
Yeah,
like
or a romantic, depends what
the last 60 years. Yeah.
But no, it's
well,
yeah,
it's a moment that will live on in history forever, or until the next they're kind of running out of characters.
I guess, but like, I just what's it all for?
Press release.
There doesn't seem to be anything. This isn't paving the way to something. Like I think like Marvel may have accidentally done that with Wicked and Hulkling.
Yeah.
Because people have liked the Young Avengers when they come back, and they've done a pretty good job of like evolving that relationship and having it deal with like that's felt more like a comic storyline than some of these other things recently. They hit a rocky road, then they end up getting married and stuff like that. It's like, okay, but like now we have a world where like North Star has a husband who just like hangs out, and every once in a while Captain America or something will be like, oh, you're North Star's husband, and he's like, yeah. And that's it.
That's it. But the guy that Jon Kent is having a relationship with does have glasses, so does that maybe change things?
Well, it makes it weirder because he's obsessed with Lois Lane, and it's like, are you using him to get close with his mom?
Do you think that they're going to run a storyline where his new boyfriend takes off his glasses and then Jon Kent isn't sure who he is?
That's the most interesting idea that's been brought up.
I mean, I'm just picturing like he takes off his glass, suddenly John's like, holy shit, where do you go? Where are you? And that could be just the whole joke. Yeah.
No, it's rough. It's I believe a wise man once said, it's only a press release, only a gimmick. Superman died 10 years ago. This is an imaginary story, aren't they all?
I would say to the creators, I've enjoyed your stories. I've been there. I've watched it grow. You've done some great stuff. I just don't know if this is the option for slumping sales.